Still the Place with Laura Layton,
Courtney Thorne-Smith,
and Daphne Zuniga, an iHeartRadio podcast.
Hi, ladies. Welcome back to Still the Place. Super excited.
Always good to see you.
So good to see you both. We're on episode 28, which is called Pushing Boundaries, which is a very good title for it. It first aired on April 7th, 1993. So this is back to really sort of classic fun. Melrose, we have Alison falling more in love with Billy, which is so sweet to see her being vulnerable. But Amanda is torturing her at work and also trying to call Billy on the phone. Alison is erasing the messages. Matt has a date, which is super exciting.
Matt has a date.
Michael is being a dick to sweet, beautiful Jane and flirting with Kimberly in really inappropriate and uncomfortable ways. Super uncomfortable. And Daphne is rubbing Grant's chest.
You mean Joe?
For all of us.
Both of us.
We've been Daphne. I said Daphne and Grant
as Joe.
Daphne's rubbing Grant's chest for us. Joe is rubbing Jake's chest. But, the lines blur, as we know.
Very confusing.
So we start off exterior D&D, which we've talked about before, but it was the spelling offices. And Amanda is already being brought to Alison. So I just want to start by saying Amanda is in this beautiful little fitted sweater and skirt. And
I knew we were going to start with clothes.
I'm a linebacker. Why do I look like I'm ready to go on the football field? What can you explain the shoulder pads to me? Can somebody explain it to me?
They were extra large shoulder pads this time.
Yes, but I have the note that finally she's in a very tightly belted skirt suit and with a velvet black scrunchie. And finally, you're not frumpy. So there's that.
Well,
now
that's true. A little
Courtney,
less frumpy,
Courtney may have put in your little double shoulder pads that you got online that you told us
about.
On the Home
Shopping
Network. Maybe in your trailer you added. But at least you had a shape. It wasn't frumpy and layered. I thought you looked great.
That's true. It's just still too big. What I saw in this, I'm like, wow, Heather knows how to dress for her body, and I have not yet figured it out. I have these huge, voluminous tops. Anyway, so Amanda's being mean to Alison about her work and also sort of implying that she wants to talk to Billy. So Alison says that Billy doesn't want to talk to her. And she says, as you know, when you live with a guy, it's easy to read between the lines.
I love how Alison was sort of irritated and put out at the beginning of the conversation. But the minute she saw an opening to start twisting the knife to Amanda, she's smiling. She's like, oh, and as you know, she's like, I have a tactic here. And
She's got a plan.
Yeah.
But she's annoyed because Amanda already is saying things like, I need to see your work now. And it's so slipshod. And God, can't you do better? She just, opens it and goes through it and uses these scripty words. They weren't natural words, but she insults her. So Alison's like, well, let me just remind you, I live with Billy.
I know. So we've established that Amanda is mean to Alison and Alison has a crush on Billy, which is adorable. And then we go to Escapade magazine, where Billy's coworker has reported him for lying on his resume.
About going to Columbia.
There were other lies too, as we know. And instead of firing him, his boss gives him a chance to cover his story. And can you guys explain this to me? His boss is playing with this I guess it's a fidget toy,
a fuzzball.
But we didn't have fidget fuzzy pink ball.
It was a strange, she's like the sophisticated head of the magazine, right? And she's squishing this pink fuzzy thing in her hand for the entire scene. We all noticed it.
We all noticed, now it would be a fidget toy, but we didn't have those then.
No, it's never explained. Or Billy doesn't even go, what are you doing?
You have a pink fuzzy testicle.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. The rest of the show.
Yeah, well, maybe she's
scenes later. That makes sense, but she's thinking.
Exactly.
No, instead of getting mad of her brand new employee lying, she gives him a promotion.
Yeah, which is a happy surprise for Billy and a big surprise for us. So after Billy's promotion, we go to the hospital where Michael and Kimberly are flirting so overtly.
Not subtle
about her hidden tattoo. And he's guessing where it is. And we basically have it somewhere in her nether regions. All we know is that it's somewhere
between the shoulders and the ankles.
But we really know it's somewhere her underpants hide, right? Because that's what she's making clear.
Well, but
Very
she
clear.
also does a little like drippy, like takes her scrubs off of one shoulder, like, is it here? Peekaboo. Like she's totally,
Is it in my
yeah,
ankle? And she
yeah,
lifts her scrubs pants and you see her scrunchy socks and Reeboks. Remember
Yes.
those white
yep,
Reeboks with the white
Yes.
socks?
And then she dances over to sit next to him.
Yeah.
yeah. Super
Game on, my
flirty
friend.
and totally, yeah, totally overt.
Yes, super overt. There's nothing subtle about it. So at this point, I'm still kind of hoping that Michael is going to hold off because of our beautiful Jane slash dear friend Josie. And I'm already annoyed. But so fingers crossed, he's going to be able to keep it in his pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we end up at Shooter's, right? Which is the only restaurant in town I think we've established.
It's the main restaurant for sure.
It's the main restaurant.
Everyone
Rhonda and
knows it.
Matt are having drinks, and this very cute guy approaches them. Rhonda thinks it's for her, but
It's Brian McNamara, and he's a very, handsome, charming guy.
super cute.
Yeah. And Rhonda assumes, but no, he's got his eyes for Matt.
Yeah. And he was a lawyer on Matt's case.
Wrongful termination suit.
Wrongful
He was at the
termination
firm, but
suit.
not actually on that case because we'll learn later that he's in a different department.
Yeah, which is a
different
nice way
specialty.
too. I thought it was a subtle way to say, so he knows Matt's gay. So we know like they make it really clear he's hitting on him. He gives him his card and Matt says, I don't need a lawyer. And he goes, how about for dinner? Right? That's pretty smooth,
Yeah.
didn't you think?
Yeah, and it was also really cute, just like to call Rhonda out that she was making the assumption, like, oh, the guy's looking over here. He must be looking at me. Nope, I'm looking at Matt.
I
It was
know.
a cute way to have that scene.
I was so happy he got a date. So we're all super excited. And then we're back at Billy and Allison's apartment where Allison is erasing a message from Amanda. And Billy walks in just as she's doing it and tells her that he's writing about a dog wedding, which of
But he's
course made
happy
me
because at
very
least he's
happy.
writing. Yeah.
Well, it made me, I'm
I
like,
know.
that sounds like a great article.
I actually thought of you when I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, Courtney must be so thrilled. She must be, yay. A dog
They're
wedding.
making
Well,
fun
it's
of it. I'm like,
funny
that makes
because
perfect sense.
Yeah.
we get excited that before the scene before when the boss says, well, I have something for you to write about a wedding, and the audience goes, oh, yay, and then he's like, a dog wedding. She's like,
he's-
a what?
It's cute because he's like, I know it's a puff piece, and she's just like giving me this like promotion sort of whatever,
Yeah.
but at least it's writing, and I'm gonna make the best darn puff piece I can. And he's just like, I'll show her. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna
And
do
there's
this
this,
piece really
did you
well.
notice the angle? So we're kind of behind Allison with her gargantuan scrunchie, which Daphne pointed out. And Billy is walking down, and Andrew's got on the cutest faded jeans. It must be when he started bringing his own clothes. And he could not look cuter. And Allison looks completely flustered. I put Allison looks very amused and horny in her huge scrunchie. Because don't you think she's like, oh, a dog wedding? Oh my goodness! Like
I don't know. I didn't get horny. I didn't get that.
Oh,
I
you
think you
didn't?
might be projecting.
Am I
You might
projecting
have
again?
some recollection of, I don't know, just like
There
I
probably
didn't see
was
it.
Lines
some.
blurring?
There probably was some because behind the scenes, we know y'all what was going on
Maybe
behind
they're
the
my
scenes.
favorite jeans of his, and I'm having a sense memory.
Yeah.
But
that
wait,
you-
go back. Did you say that he started bringing his own clothes?
Well, when he's wearing their clothes, he's got on huge pleated khakis and huge shirts. So he had on these really cute faded jeans, which must have been his.
You're assuming they were his. Oh, interesting.
What about you, Courtney? Because you wore some, like, they look like just regular Levi's that were well worn.
Those were mine. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
for sure
that's what I
mine.
thought. You can tell,
Yeah.
when people wear their own jeans.
Yeah.
Maybe
Which
he and I were
often-
sharing the same pair of jeans. Maybe we were wearing
Maybe.
the same jeans. I don't know.
That
Could
happens
happen.
often though with wardrobe people. They'll say if you have a comfortable pair of jeans, it helps them too because it makes it look real.
And jeans are
Exactly.
nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many
That happens
ways,
pretty
yeah.
often. They'll say.
Yeah, I
jeans
still
on
have
there.
those jeans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It must be
somewhere.
well worn. This is
Super, I
35
think
years
they're-
ago.
Yeah. I know. I kept the 501s.
Those are
Nice, I
good
kept
vintage.
them.
They're back.
They're back in. They're back
Yeah.
in. I know.
It's nostalgia overload as Wilmer Valderrama and Freddie Rodriguez welcome another amigo to their podcast, Dos Amigos. Wilmer's friend and former That 70s Show castmate Topher Grace stops by the Speakeasy for a two-part interview to discuss his career and reminisce about old times.
We were still in that place of like, what will this experience become? And you go, you're having the best time you're ever gonna have.
Yeah.
But it was like such a perfect golden time.
Listen to Dos Amigos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So now we go back to Escapade magazine, and Billy's boss likes his article and shows it by walking around his chair and touching his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
She gives him a promotion. He says, they don't know how to thank you. And she says, we'll think of something.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Billy goes, great, thanks, and bounces out of the room.
See ya, bye.
That reminds me of like this episode is two women making the moves and being very strong with the men. So you have
Yes.
Kimberly doing it to Michael and very much this boss doing this to Billy.
And both
Also, Amanda's
men
coming on to Billy too.
And Amanda, but not in this way. This boss, often is switched around, but the gender, that's usually the male boss doing it to the young underling female. But anyway, I thought
where
let's just
neither
follow
one of
this.
them belong.
Well, yeah, exactly. We'll follow it through and see
You're
what
right.
happens.
It's a show of aggressive women. Speaking of, we're back at D&D, and Amanda is torturing Alison. She tells her, she hands her back her report, and she says, the descriptions are trite, the goals of the campaign are ill-defined, and the conclusions read like wishful thinking. Honestly, Alison, I don't mean to be harsh, but your work is still not up to the level it was before you were chasing your boyfriend all over the country. Again, she didn't mean to be harsh.
No.
Yeah.
It's like,
She meant to be kind.
She just meant to
Clearly.
exaggerate.
She's trying to help. Just trying to
Yeah.
help you.
She was just trying to be specific.
So then Billy calls to tell Alison about his promotion, and you see Amanda listening to the conversation about where they're going to meet for dinner.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
Where they're all going to meet.
And we all knew it was going to happen because
So the whole
so clear.
building now is going to go out and celebrate for Billy's success.
which
is
super
sweet.
cute
I love
of
the
them.
all together. I
Wonderful.
love the all together scene.
So that's the next scene. And I was going to ask you guys, do you remember where we shot that scene where the whole building is out to dinner on an outside patio?
I don't. Do you?
No, I was trying to remember where we would, usually it's scenes where there's just a date, a couple or maybe a double date somewhere. But that was, I don't know. Was it a place out there?
Did Marie
Was it
Callender's
real?
have an outdoor patio?
They actually did.
Use at night.
They
might
actually
have.
did. It could have been.
Could have been. I don't remember.
Or like, wasn't
shooting
there a
ever.
Hamburger Hamlet too? Didn't we shoot at Hamburger Hamlet? sometime?
Although, yeah, that we would, but we walk on the street after dinner. So maybe we actually went into the town.
Maybe.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you guys remembered. Gosh, I wish I remembered.
I don't, but I love all being together. So at the dinner, Billy is sharing his really heartfelt thanks, and Michael is just being a complete dick about it. And when Amanda shows up and says, I've been leaving you messages, did you get them? And Billy covers for Alison, God bless him, and says, the machine's on the fritz. And then Michael says, if I were you, I'd get my machine fixed. Billy.
Because you don't want to
I gotta say,
miss her
Alison and I were
calls.
very annoyed.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
he's just implying you don't want to miss a calls from Amanda.
I know.
That babe.
But he's just very like smug and smarmy a little bit, and is
Yeah, he's being
like that.
gross in this scene.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which he continues as he's walking with the guys and saying shitty things about marriage, saying to the guys, follow your libido while you can. And they
Yeah,
say, what
'cause-
happens when you're married? And he goes, nothing. Come on.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
setting the
and-
stage.
And then we have a little walk away with a little walk and talk, as they call them in the biz, with Alison and Joe. And she confesses, well, I erased all the messages from Amanda that she's been leaving for Billy. And then I think I like approve of that, don't I?
Well, everyone's kind of saying at this point, why don't you guys just go out already? Like,
Yeah.
everybody's like, this is
It's
getting-
clear-
Even the cast is getting
Yeah.
annoyed. Like the
Yeah.
audience is annoyed.
Yeah, I
The cast is
know.
getting
The guys and the girls are like, why aren't you just like making
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Right, everybody's so tired of the will they, won't they, back and forth. So we go afterwards. We're back in Joe's. I hope it's Joe's apartment. We don't know, but you're on pink satin sheets. So I'm hoping those aren't Jake's.
It's definitely Joe's apartment because it's pink satin sheets.
Pink satin
That's how
sheets.
we
We're
know.
deciding that now, no
I know,
matter what. It is not Jake's.
We've seen them before. Yeah, he has some sort
No
of
way.
like, navy plaid, but you
Yeah.
definitely have pink satin.
Yeah,
It's
so these are pink satin, and Joe is rubbing Jake's chest for America. And he's talking about Michael flirting outside of his marriage. And you said something that I thought was really interesting, you as Joe, Daphne. You said, it seems to me that you and I were lovers way before we actually did it. And it was funny because I saw you trying to make we did it work. Because I'm like, obviously, you're like, we did, like, you're because you have to do exact words. And you're
Yeah.
like, would I really, as a grown woman, say did it? Like, I saw
Yeah, you
that.
said it kind of like cute. Like you
Yeah,
made
you
it kind
did.
of cute.
You
and
made
that
it
was what
work,
made
but I
charming.
could
Yeah.
see like how you had to make it work.
And also, I thought it was a little confusing because doesn't the word "we were lovers" mean we were making love, meaning we were having sex.
It
But
sort of
she
seems like
finishes
that
the
implication,
sentence
right?
by "we were lovers before we did it." So
It should have been
Just
before we
different.
physically made love. Like
yeah,
she's saying that you guys
but
were in love. You were in love with each other
yes,
before you had sex. So
right,
if Michael's flirting with somebody, that's an emotional affair. That's what I
yeah,
took from it.
It's just
right.
an example of like a line that isn't really like right. And you were just on the
And
day
yet,
going, I guess I just got to make this work because I can't change it. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was like fine on paper or whatever. It seemed fine on paper until somebody's trying to say it and going, wait,
yeah,
out loud is a whole different thing than on
yeah.
paper.
Yeah, but you made it work. You made it playful, which is sweet. And then
Hmm.
you guys
And then
made
she went
out.
back
You
to
did not
rubbing his
slide
chest.
off the sheets. I don't know how, because they were very pink and very shiny. It's when you didn't just slide out of
She
frame.
just clung to his chest, clung to his
Exactly.
six pack, so she wouldn't slide off those sheets.
Like a ladder. You just hang on.
Yeah.
So then we're back in Billy's room, and Allison enters, dare we say, without pants.
Well, I love
wearing
the way
pants.
the shot started because it's on her bare feet on the floor at a closed door, and you can tell it's a bedroom. And she's like, so it's a little bit like teasing, what is this moment going to be? And then panning up, we find she's in this
So
a giant t-shirt. But you're right,
a giant
no pants.
men's sports. You know what made me think of? Made me think of that was that looked like a Dartmouth, the Dartmouth green soccer.
That's what
And I
thought.
was she borrowing that from home too? Did she bring that from Andrew's closet?
Oh,
That's what I was thinking. Blurring TV and reality.
blur. That's a really good point. But it did look really kind of post-coital, which I know it wasn't, but I know that
Yeah.
was intentional
But it
and very
was
cute.
yeah, and sexy. You're
Super
supposed to
cute.
be
Yeah.
It was really sexy, and
You're
Allison
heating up
admits that
this.
she's been erasing messages. And I thought it was really sweet to see her so vulnerable. Like the table is turned, and she, whether she knows it or not, it's obvious
Yeah.
to us that she's having really strong feelings for Billy.
Yeah.
And he's the one sort of playing it coy because his boss is after him, Amanda's after him. Allison is just one more woman. They must have all
Yes.
seen those jeans. That must be
Yeah.
what did it.
I think that was it.
It's so cute how he plays it. He's just like sitting back and watching her squirm and kind of justify it. He's just like,
Yes.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
You lied. Well, like, okay, what are you really saying? He's just staring at her. And I'm just going like, are those the actors or are those the characters?
Yeah, it was such a shift though, right? Because normally he's sort of goofy and Allison's rude for some reason. And now he's so cool and she's
Yeah.
so vulnerable.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought it
very
was really
sweet.
sweet. I like this turn.
Mhm.
So then back in the Escabade offices, I think, I don't know, maybe this is the one you're thinking of, Laura. So Allison arrives for lunch. So she asks him to lunch in the previous scene, and she arrives for lunch in a really weird orange suit.
It was like apricot color. And I will say, I
Terrible
think they
color
were
on me.
the same shoulder pads I noticed where it was very shouldery.
And also off the shoulder. So how I squeeze
Oh, yeah,
those
yeah,
shoulder
yeah. That was
pads
the off the
into
shoulder, yeah.
off the shoulder. So
Yeah.
really weird, but whatever. So she shows up, and she and the Billy and his boss are in the conference room, and she is really being super flirty with him. And
The blinds
Allison
are
is not a
open.
fan.
So when
Yes.
you come like you can just see her with her short skirt sitting on a desk flirting with Billy, talking about business.
Yeah,
But
she's
those
draped
vertical
herself on the
blinds are
conference table for all
open.
the office to see because she's left the
Yes.
blinds open and they're
So-
watching. Allison and Cameron are watching through the window, and he's like, "Hey, are you the girlfriend?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like,
super inappropriate. And Allison makes her feelings known as they're walking in the park. And then Billy says very clearly, "What's going on with you anyway?
Yeah.
Every time I'm around a female lately, you're freaking out."
Yeah. I'm
And
a
Huh,
grown up.
what
I
could
can
possibly
handle
be going
myself.
on?
What
Yeah.
could possibly, as Allison handles it really well and walks away. She just leaves.
I know.
Like super direct and calm.
And then he throws out the rest of his apple or something in a trash bin that's right there in the middle of the path. Like
in the middle.
Like not when you're in a park, trash bins are not in the middle of the walkway. The trash bins at the side in a corner near a fountain. I don't know, but it's never in the middle of where people are walking.
It was so weird. Maybe they weren't allowed to put it on the grass or something.
Yeah.
But it was so awkward. I thought this like he can't take a step and throw it away. It was literally right in front of him.
I mean, you can catch these in film and TV. When you have to go fast, you see these little weird things that just would never happen, just so they
Yeah,
can get
this
through the
one was
day.
really obvious. Prop
They just
can, it
shoot
could
and
have had
move
a light
on.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super funny. So now we're back at the hospital, and Kimberly's complaining about her boyfriend. And then she makes an abrupt shift and admits that she was crying the night before because she's, quote, falling for a wonderful friend of hers that she can never have.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael says, does he know? And she
Ugh.
takes his hand and says, he does now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is another scene of like Marcia just killing it. I mean, like she is so good at these moments and like milking every like nuance out of it. I mean, I think
Yes.
if I think about the words on paper, it wouldn't have been that dynamic, but I think Marcia is so good. Like she really makes these scenes electric. I mean, even though we as the audience are rooting for Thomas or Michael to, you know, be true to his wife, whatever, the chemistry between them is absolutely
Mhm.
undeniable too. And I think the scenes are just electric between them because I think Marcia is just so on fire. I think
Yeah,
she's
And they
she doesn't
really
back
worked
away
it
from
out.
anything.
They really worked it out. They too, that you can tell also because I've heard stories now of how much fun they had together as actors. You know, so like even their physicality is very, you can tell they're playing, they're
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah, she really goes for it. And even though we're mad at her, that moment when she's talking, you feel for her in that moment when she says, I was crying over a dear friend who I'm in love with. You go, really, who? And they're, oh man, Jane's husband. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so now
he
we're
manages to sort of deflect and like get himself out of it. Like, and he leave, right? The
no,
end of that.
she leaves and he's looking after her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very intense. And he looks actually kind of befuddled, which is something we don't see Michael look very
Right.
often.
He's
Like he looks
conflicted,
sort
but
of
it's
confused and overwhelmed by
It's
it.
because this has built up. It's been weeks now, and you know, we've seen him in scenes and it's kind of building up, and he knows it's coming to, it's getting too hard to turn back. I mean, what she's confessing, there's a tattoo on me somewhere, and I'm, you know, wanting you, and they're sitting together on this bunk bed eating sandwiches, and
right.
their intimacy is really growing. So he's like, oh God, is this really happening?
Yeah, he's leaning in just enough that, you know, it allows her to continue to do it. He hasn't said no. He hasn't given her the hand.
Yeah, but I'm still
Yeah.
holding out hope because he also hasn't said yes.
You are.
See.
That's so cool.
I know. I know.
That's cute. That's really
Thank
cute.
you. Thank you. So now we're back. We're at the in the courtyard of the apartment. Matt is excited about his date. Billy crosses to his apartment where Allison is making dinner. She's nervous and excited, and she's trying to make him this dinner. And she's talking a mile a minute because she's all excited and she wants to apologize for saying the thing about his boss. And she really wants to have cook dinner for him, and he just gets up and leaves.
He's got to go to work. Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
Bummer.
I know. She's flitting
You
around making
snooze,
him
you
dinner.
lose, Allison. You waited too long.
I
And now
know.
you're
I
only
think
doing
he
it.
didn't like her shirt.
And now
as
you're
I did
only
not
doing
either.
it because these women are clearly coming after him. Your roommate who you like are so not into for some reason. Suddenly you are. And it might
I
be too
know.
late. You're putting
I
all
can't
this
even
effort
tell if
in.
Allison is aware of it. We're aware of it. I don't know if she's aware of it, but she
Oh,
is.
I think oh yeah, that's a good question. Maybe it's just her subconscious, like, because you can see her, you know,
Yeah. Really
acting like
trying
she's
to get
aware
his
of it, but
attention.
maybe she's not. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see.
I think she's aware of it. She's erasing. I think she's aware of it. She's aware of it.
I just have to ask a real life question here, though. You guys are still dating in real life at this point in the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
We
just
broke up
clarifying.
over the
I thought
first
so.
hiatus.
I
Yeah,
just wanted
for
to make sure
Yeah.
what's going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
want to
Yeah.
get clear here.
Yeah.
That's why we're sharing jeans, apparently.
Yeah.
So now we're back at the hospital. It's nighttime. Kimberly's going to her car, and Michael catches up to her. And I think he's catching up to her to break it off. What did you ladies think was happening?
I don't know. I was just filled with inevitability and sort of dread, like, oh yeah, I mean, we also know where it goes. So like, oh, of course. Couldn't really fool myself here on what was gonna happen.
Yeah, she feels embarrassed and she's like, just, don't mess with me. All this stuff. And then he grabs her and kisses her.
Yeah.
Now,
He just,
this is the hospital parking lot.
yeah.
Do they think people can't see out of the 1,000 windows or walking by? They're right outside the door to the hospital.
Pretty
Yeah.
bold, not only for two doctors working at the same hospital, but a married one at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought that was
Pretty bold.
pretty intense. I was like, please hide somewhere. They were right out in the open. So anyway, he kisses
It's funny
her.
because you're going to see in a couple more scenes kind of the same dynamic with Billy's boss. It's the two women who have put the move on, made it very clear that they want these men, regardless of if they're taken or if it's inappropriate. And what do they say? I was so embarrassed. That's what Kimberly's saying. I'm humiliated. Well, that's not his problem. Why are you like manipulating him?
She's
And we're gonna
humiliated because she told him that she loves him.
I
Yeah.
know. And
Oh.
she's letting him know. So I'm humiliated. I feel badly. You need to fix it. Basically saying, oh, you did nothing wrong. Here, come here, kiss me. And I'm just pointing that out now because we're going to see that in a few scenes. That the boss did the
nice.
same thing. She says verbally almost the same thing, verbatim to Billy. But
Nice.
um,
So after the hospital, after they're making out, we're in a very nice restaurant with Matt and his handsome date, who immediately asks if he can smoke and reveals himself to be a greedy, shallow lawyer, which is so
Yeah.
disappointing,
Like all the
right?
things that Matt is not.
major red flags.
Yeah. He had a
Major
total.
red flags. Yeah,
I
like
thought this was the smokehouse. Did you guys recognize it was like red leather booths and
didn't.
stuff? And I saw the bar and I was like, I thought this was a smokehouse. I made Doug watch the scene. And first of all, I said,
Oh.
hey, do you remember that scene that you had with Brian McNamara? And he's like, no,
Did
I
he
never had a
remember?
scene with Brian McNamara. He
What?
He's like, no, I never had a
Doesn't
scene. I was like,
remember?
wait a minute. Yes, you did. He goes, no. Brian McNamara is somebody that like I go up for roles. Like we see each other at auditions for the next 25 years. We'll
Yeah.
compete against each other for the same roles or whatever. But I never had a scene with him. I'm like, okay, sit right down. I'm going to show you. Like, here's the scene.
And he's like,
what
"Oh my
restaurant is
God."
this? And then he says it's not the smokehouse, which is like an old industry. Like everybody, especially after
Yeah.
Warner Brothers or whatever, people go to the smokehouse. It's like a place
cheese
Yeah.
toast.
around forever. Yeah,
Right there
but
in
he said it
Burbank.
wasn't. Maybe it was like Musso and Frank's. I was trying to identify
No.
the red leather booths.
Well, my
and, like,
guess is that's the inside of the restaurant we did the outdoor scene in.
it would make
that would be
sense
my
that it was the
guess.
same
Maybe.
restaurant. So I was trying to identify
Maybe.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I don't
But at any
remember.
rate, the guy is, saying, "Oh, I'm doing this." Lights a cigarette. Then he goes, "Oh, I'm doing this environmental thing with these polluters and these companies," right? And then Matt's like, "Oh, I know these companies get away with murder. They just pollute all over the place." He's like, "That's why I'm representing. That's why I'm
Yep.
defending."
Actually represent those big guys. Yeah. Great.
Bye.
And he also
Bye.
says to Matt, "We thought you should have sued him." And Matt's like, "Well, that wasn't the point. I really wanted to work with the kids." He's like, "Yeah, but you could have made a fortune."
Yeah.
They're not on the same
He's just
page. to
gross.
Not
say
on the same
least.
page. So
They are
disappointing, but the date's not gonna.
So speaking of not on the same page, we go back to Michael and Jane's apartment, and gorgeous Jane is cooking dinner and trying to seduce Michael, which again, you're just like, do you not have eyes or ears?
Yeah.
And Michael looks at her beautiful chicken she's cooking and says, "That's going to take forever. I'm going to bed."
She has candles lit. She has a beautiful, like, we need to be closer. And
That's like icky and yeah, not good.
I don't know about
No, not good.
still
Really.
putting yourself out there and forward and making that effort, and trying to care for your partner. And he's just like, oh, I gotta go.
I know, and
that.
she's so sweet and gorgeous, and we're so annoyed with him. We're back to being annoyed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. So now we're back to escapade. Speaking of women trying to have sex with men, Billy's boss is coming on very strong and asked him to rub her shoulders.
And when the scene opened, it was like, are they in a hotel room or a restaurant? Where is this? Because it was like, like it was
A couch.
like dim lighting and whatever. And she
Yeah.
leads him over to the couch. And then I see as the shot opened up, it was her office, but she's got the
Yes.
couch in her office and
And
she
the
leads him to the
squishy
couch.
thing.
Yeah. I don't know where the squishy
where's the
thing
fuzzy
is.
ball? She's
I don't
like,
wanna
never
know.
mind, never mind. I'm not going
Yeah.
there, but there is a joke there, just FYI.
Yeah.
So,
Yuck.
yeah, so he says no to having sex with her, and she says, "While we're at it, why don't we just forget your promotion as well?" Which is pretty darn
Well, wait a
overt.
second. Hold on. Did
Yes?
you guys say that she actually does the deed?
Well,
Yes?
she does. She yeah,
She's
she
like,
turns
"Oh, I need
the
a
shoulder massage into
massage."
like
Yeah,
sentimental.
no, I
he
said that.
Oh, okay. Then he massages her, and then she like whips around and lunges at him.
Yeah.
and anyway, yeah. So then he's like, no.
Yeah. And then his fears are realized when she reneges on the promotion, which is so bad.
Yeah.
So then we're back at the apartment outside, and Rhonda asks Matt about his date, and she pressures him to give the guy a chance. And Matt, of course, gets defensive, which is valid, don't you think?
Yeah, I liked that scene. I liked the way he was saying, what, you think I should just sleep with a guy because he's the first guy that comes along, and you think
I'm
that's
gay?
you think that's how you think that's what I do, and you think that's what I do because I'm gay? Like, what, no, that bugs me. I liked that dynamic in the scene of her saying, I just wanted you to have a good time. And, like, I thought she was super sweet, and he was super justified in saying what he felt. Like, I just thought it was a nice scene. There was not a bad guy in the scene.
I don't think there was
Nice
a bad
scene.
guy either.
Yeah.
I mean, like, bring that into real life, and you'd want to tell a friend, stay open, give it another chance. Maybe, maybe this isn't like the whatever that you usually go for, but it's just an innocent try to stay open friend.
Yeah.
Which
I will say that Doug couldn't remember having a scene with Brian McNamara, but he did remember that shirt he was wearing when he comes out and he's carrying the turquoise laundry basket, but he's got like another like printed shirt on and his jean jacket tied around his waist because he might need his jean jacket on the way to the laundry room. So you better tie it around your waist. Yeah. So that's funny.
That's very cute.
Why do we remember I remember that weird shirt I wore, but I can't remember my scene partner.
So we're back in Billy and Allison's apartment, and Allison is maniacally telling Billy about her new work plan. She's super like this and this and this, and then I'm going to that, and then I'm going to that. And finally notices that Billy is upset. And he admits that he got demoted after rejecting his boss. And just for the record, Allison is now wearing a gargantuan white scrunchie. Like it must have wrapped around her 7 times.
It was, I don't know what the deal with the big scrunchie
They were giant.
moment
That was very 90s.
Yeah.
So it's very sad that he admits that. And Allison says, we can do something. We can get a lawyer. Which I was like, oh, she's in like marriage mode. He is not, sadly. Their lines have crossed. So now we're back in Jane and Michael's apartment. And Jane, of course, being loving and adorable, comes up behind him while he's shaving and invites him to lunch at her studio because it's his day off. And he says he has to go check on some patients.
Ugh. Always excuses with him. There's like
he blows
3 or
her
4
off
in
in
a
a
row.
blatant lie. And I thought that shot in the mirror was really lovely. Like
That was a great
he's
shot.
got a close up. He's shaving his own face, which I thought if he has to do it over and over again, he's just going to shave that same spot for matching, right? Because they're like, just put the shaving cream right back there and just do that again.
Yeah.
Just the one spot. But
Yeah, but he's shaving. Hello.
Hi. She comes up and
Yeah.
I just thought it was a cool shot
Visual?
of her joining
Yeah.
him like off the back mirror, and then she turns and joins him in the front
But
mirror.
what I thought was he's shaving. If it's his day off, that's not when men shave. That's when they don't shave because they don't have to go in. But he is not going to stick around and hang around. He's going. Isn't this where he's
he
going?
said
to?
he said he still has to go into work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when
So-
Jane leaves for work, he immediately calls Kimberly.
Yes, that's what happens. He immediately
And
has
says,
to see you.
I need to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm still thinking he's definitely going to break it off now.
I mean, so I remember when Josie was on with us and she was like, I think she was commenting on how it was frustrating at times to keep playing this pushover, and this is it. This is an episode, an example of that where, he's shaving and I have a day off, but I'm going to look good and leave you. And no, I can't have dinner, even though I see the candles that and the dinner that you've made. And no. And she doesn't get mad ever.
Yeah, you want her to get mad.
Frustrating.
Yeah, she's such a catch. And it's I put eternally patient and horny
Crazy.
Jane because she's and she always wants him. Maybe because she can't quite have him.
Well,
right?
I also think they're trying to make him a bad guy at this point, right? They had decided,
doing a good
he
job.
needs to turn into, so he's doing bad guy stuff for sure.
Yeah, he is.
It's nostalgia overload as Wilmer Valderrama and Freddie Rodriguez welcome another amigo to their podcast, Dos Amigos. Wilmer's friend and former That 70s Show castmate Topher Grace stops by the Speakeasy for a 2-part interview to discuss his career and reminisce about old times.
We were still in that place of like, what will this experience become? And you go, you're having the best time you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
But it was like such a perfect golden time.
Listen to Dos Amigos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So we're back at Escapade Magazine, and Billy confronts Nancy and quits and says, I really thought I really love to write. I liked it here. I wanted to learn from you. And Nancy, who's his boss, does a very female thing and admits to her part and apologizes. I wrote like a woman. Like, I just think I can't see a man doing that.
Exactly.
Honestly.
I wrote down the same note. Like this scenario with the genders reversed would never happen.
Never.
You're right. I really shouldn't have done that. And I'm embarrassed. Let me give you your job back.
Yes.
Like that.
Mea
Said
culpa.
no one ever.
Yeah. I said no man ever.
except for Nancy does. And it's great because he totally called her out too. He's like, this was a power play. This was not about me. This was just you trying to wield your power. And I think that's pathetic. And she goes, you're right. That stuff like this happened to me. And I guess I was just trying to, turn the tables. And you're right. That sucks.
Yeah, it was very, you got to see, because she was a woman, you really got to see like, what it would be like and the truth and just a great human conversation between them and having accountability for your actions. And she said, I've put up with this my whole climb of the ladder. And I just wanted to give it a go and see if I could do it, take advantage of him. Yeah. But I'm sorry. And, it was just very cool too, that the writers made it a woman so we could see what it would be like.
She really took responsibility.
Yeah.
So now we are back at Kimberly's apartment. She's clearly nervous. Michael comes over. She offers him a very sexy lunch of tuna fish, which
salad niçoise.
Come on.
And a bottle of wine, just a casual.
He liked it.
Effort. Yeah.
And then.
Well, he walks in the door.
Oh my God.
And they just immediately start kissing. He can't even wait till he's all the way in the door.
You think it was seeing the tuna that made him horny? I'm like, what? That's the least sexy lunch I've ever seen.
I don't know.
Well,
it was romantic. I think
I wrote down was that she looks all pretty and her hair's up kind of loose and stuff and all of that. And she's wearing a loose velvet top, which is very sexy back then. And then he throws her down right on top of that tuna salad on table. Like, he doesn't move to the side. He doesn't throw her on the bed or the sofa or any other surface.
We're assuming that they're lying down on top of the niçoise right now.
We just set out.
Yep. He lowered her gently.
You see the green beans under her shoulder. Okay. It's so unsexy. It's disgusting. That's what it is. And I was like, was this one of those situations where they were somehow inhibited by the set or the time and they couldn't relight over onto some other area?
I think it was supposed to show that they just couldn't wait. They're so hot for each other.
Yep. We're doing it right here.
They're willing to do it on a salad.
The frame brought in that salad and you're just like, this is so unsexy. You just ruined it.
But it is the episode out. I mean, that is the story, right? Is like, this is happening and it is happening right now and right here.
I'd like to say, I still believe that he might just stop and really tell her he's in love with Jane.
I love that you want to believe that. It's like you weren't ever on the show before.
I feel really good about it. I feel good about it, Laura.
I think because he grabbed her and threw her up onto the table with the salad niçoise underneath and on the plates that are about to go crunch and crash and gross. I think that maybe Josie has a chance. That's all I'm saying.
I feel really good about it. Really good about it. So that was a super good episode, wasn't it? Things are moving. Now we're really, really moving fast into the Melrose we know and love.
Well, we've officially turned that corner with Thomas, with Michael making that choice.
Michael and Kimberly have done it. There's no going back now, right? So he's now going to have to make choices and maybe, grovel to his wife. We don't know what's going to happen, but that has happened.
Yes.
Unlike the situation with Billy and the boss, which is so grown up and mature. She's like, I take accountability. I'm sorry. That wasn't fair. And he's like, you throw out an apology and you got to deal.
Yeah, I was
right?
like, Billy, don't push it. When he said that, I was like, just take your win.
Yeah,
And
just take your win and get your job
just
back.
don't humiliate her more. I know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like she was apologizing already, and he just, sort of.
Yeah.
But it's
I'm
really,
sure
it made me at the same time while I'm watching this, you guys, just feel for all the situations where it was reversed, where it was the guy in the power position and he just hasn't done this, just at least in the stories that we see and hear and live through. That's not how it goes.
No,
Nobody
that's not how
says,
it
nobody
goes.
takes accountability and goes, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. I had the power. I'm older than you. I'm your boss. That's
And
just,
here's your
especially
job
not
back.
now because
And here's your job.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So times are
here's your
different now. I
promotion
hope,
anyway.
but-
So great episode.
Yeah. Super fun.
Be
And
back for 29.
are you guys resisting the urge to like hit play on one more episode? Like when you watch an episode, you're turning it off, right? You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple
I
times
really want to find a way to watch the last one together.
I have
let's
to
do
go
that.
back. Yeah, let's do that. We should.
Yeah.
But are we going to
Definitely.
watch it together and take
So-
our own notes?
Of course. We all have thoughts, right?
We're going to
Well,
watch it together and not talk to each other.
Right. No, zip it. As Courtney likes to say, don't.
Save it for the camera. Save it for the camera.
I don't think we could get it if we were all in the same room. I think we wouldn't get through any of it. I think we would not have an episode for the podcast if we all got together to do
try
it.
it. I think it's worth trying. The last one. It'll be the last one.
So this is 28, right? So we have
28.
29.
We got to
30,
get to
31.
32 for the end of the season. Yeah.
4 more.
4 more recaps and a couple more guests.
And a few more guests.
Mhm.
Super exciting.
I look forward to the next because we know some big stuff's going to happen. And
Yeah, because there's going to be the scene when Michael tells Kimberly he just can't do it and he loves his
and he
wife.
apologizes.
Pretty sure that's coming up.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
pretty sure.
That's probably, you're probably right for it. All right. Well, we'll have to tune in on the next recap just to see.
We will.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening.
All right, guys. So good to see you as always.
Always
Very
good
fun.
to see you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye.